apologize, but I am going to change a little something. I'm going to try on these quick turnarounds to try to get me the night before, because this is insanity what I'm trying to do here. It's not football where I have a week. It's not your fault. It's my fault, and it's not because we're losing or we lost. And it just, I got so many things in a week, and our players, to be honest with you, are dead. I mean, I looked at the game last night, and what did I get out of the film? Disappointed with the performance. First half, we were very good defensively, or offensively, not as good defensively. The second half, we're very, very good defensively, not as good offensively. Part of the problem is a lot of people are going smaller ball, and that's not where our depth is. Trying to, since we left for Portland, we've been scrambling defensively. I think we all know the reason why. We just haven't been as sharp. We've had nothing with our break since then because of personnel and the fact that we're trying to play like a Pierre, which was playing 18 minutes a game. Now he's playing 30-some minutes a game. And that has been a major issue as I look back on all these games. No one likes to lose a home game, of course, especially in our league. And in fairness and honesty, I did not think we played that good. I thought Northwestern played awfully well, and I think they're an experienced team. Now we turn it into figuring out what we need. I mean, we need our health back. That ain't going to happen for a while. And we're just going to have to do the best job we can. We need to play a little smarter. We had, I think, 8 turnovers the first half and only 5 the second. But I think the biggest thing that hurt us is we're just kind of running out of gas. So we're playing AJ a lot of minutes. We're playing, and we get one guy in foul trouble, and it's created a problem. Pierre cannot play 32 minutes a game. And sometimes I have no choice, and that's what we're dealt with. In Penn State, schedule doesn't get any easier. It'll be the third team in a row that has had 5 or 6 days to prepare for us, where we haven't. So you put all those things together, and it's been more challenging than even I would hope for. This is a hard-nosed, experienced team. They have 5 fifth-year guys on this team that play. 5. Unbelievable. 3 of their top scorers are fifth-year guys, led by Pickett, who is averaging 16 and 7. They'll sometimes go 5 smalls. So a guy like Malik is really, you really need him in a game like this. Lundy has been a tough guard forward cover at 6'6". He can play 4, he can play 3, he can play 2. This is a very good three-point shooting team. They led the Big Ten in three-point shots made, and they're getting over 12 a game that they're making. Most teams are 7 or 8. So that is their bread and butter. They do not have a great post presence. So we're going to have to find a way to do a little better job subbing. It helps to have Jaden back. At what level he's back and his fatigue factor, I think you saw with your own eyes last night. It's not going to be great for a while. So we're going to have to do a little better job of the 3-minute sessions. When you do that, you don't get in the flow of the game either. So those are our issues that we have to deal with, and yet it wouldn't have taken any monumental effort to find a way to win that game last night, which we didn't do. And that is still disappointing. So I'll take questions.
Tom, I just wonder, when you first start this stretch and you win a couple and you play well, and it's kind of like things are going good and you're in it. But when you hit a lull like this, especially at the end of this run, with the injuries, you're talking about the guys being dead. Is there a concern at all that this can kind of linger and it becomes like a mental thing for them, and then it's tougher to get out of that than say a physical? Nah,
I mean, I think everybody's been through things before. I think I think when we're in it day to day and you've had 2 practices in 12 days, you realize you're not going to be able to do the things that you have. All the things that I did with the schedule, that was the one I avoided, that I didn't look at, and then all of a sudden we're trying to get Pierre ready. We're trying to get Marty to do different things. We're trying to get a couple of our freshmen to play, and even to the fact where if we play, like if we play Trey and AJ together, AJ's never played a second at the 2. And so now all of a sudden some things got screwed up last night when we did that. And so, I mean, there are things that they should happen. You shouldn't be in this position. And we were with 2 key guys. I don't think it was that we were low to start with. We were playing real good basketball, really good offensively, really good defensively. And we fought through it out there. We actually did a hell of a job even against Alabama. But then I think the number of minutes started adding up, and we struggled as we got back, and I think you saw it at Notre Dame. It was a complete letdown of just fatigue in our guys. And you say, well, that's the schedule. No, it wouldn't have been the schedule if it wouldn't have been the guys we lost. Then we'd have been able to put everybody together and kind of give guys, I said, I think we played Pierre 38 minutes one game, 36 minutes. I mean, it's just not possible to happen right now. And so that's nobody's real fault, just some of the cards you're dealt. But you add the schedule, the travel, and the lack of prep days. That might have been one thing that I did not kind of be aware of. And I've already talked to KP about it, and we were dealt those weird cards. It was the one year we had the ACC Challenge and the Big East Gavitt games and the aircraft and the 2 trips to California. So, no, I don't worry about it taking on the whole year. I think we got to win some games in here. And, we're about to play from the 11th? What's the date today? 5th. So we play on the 7th. So 11th to the 7th, what is that? 28 days? We'll have played 9 games in those 28 days plus traveling. And then from the 7th to January 4th, we'll play 4 games in 26 days. And, that's how screwed up this whole thing is. Part of it is playing the Big Ten games early. Part of it is everybody wants to play in these events, meaning the 3-game events, which we're going to relook at that too. Not having control of our schedule. When you try to make a schedule up, and it sounds like a big excuse, but really I don't give a damn. I'm just telling you the truth. When you try to make one up and you've got 3 days scheduled for the Big Ten ACC Challenge, you have to leave open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, if you play on Monday, then you could have scheduled some other games later on. If you think you're going to play on Wednesday and you really don't know, then you can't schedule games earlier, so then you end up with games in between. You do that with the Gavitt games, and you give them a couple days, and you've just got all these problems, That's why I love football, I mean, if you go crazy, absolutely insanity, you might play Friday night instead of Saturday. And but you know what your weeks are like, and ours this time were really tough, compounded with the travel, compounded with the injuries. We're reeling a little bit right now, but no, because I know this is a better team than I thought. Once we get just normal practice time would have helped a lot in this last day. And we went to Notre Dame. They're sitting there for 5 days, played a home game, sitting there 5 days. we had Northwestern. They're sitting there for 5 days, 6 days. We go to Penn State. They've been sitting there since last, I think, Friday. So that, too, makes a difference.
So you get one more before you get this stretch that's a little bit kinder. I'm wondering, is there a message of get through this with grit and you'll feel a whole lot better for 3 weeks?
Yeah, that's about the exact message at 8 o'clock this morning we tried to give our team. Which is another thing about this. So you play a game last night and, we work till late, and then, we have to have a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning because you have to take care of that game and then move on to the next one, which we got to do this afternoon. And and then try to get my radio show in tonight. So, it's been a challenge in dealing with that, but that's exactly the battle cry. We got to all rally around. We got to go play our butt off against a very good team who's playing well. And then we get a little more human. We got a game here, although then we got finals. But it gets a little more human, yep.
Tom, you look at how much last night's game changed because of foul trouble and where you are with depth. I mean, is that something you emphasize even more to these guys? And maybe Tyson, you look at his fourth foul contesting a dunk, about making choices like that. Well,
I look at that fourth foul. I thought it was a terrible, terrible call. The one out in front. Yeah, he's got to be smarter than give up a layup before you give up, because we just don't have the bodies, But then you're telling a guy to play aggressive and smart, and as fatigue sets in, you don't do as good a job of that. But I thought Marty's second foul, there was no reason. It was on the baseline. It was probably, some of you might have saw it. It was, they didn't have a post presence, and he pushed the guy. It was insanity. And yet I think you make those mistakes when you are more fatigued. But foul trouble, you talk about injuries, but foul trouble's like an injury. You can't play. So we played Tyson quite a while with 4, but you don't play the same. And, so foul trouble definitely caused some problems. We were up 7, and one time Marty went out, then he went out, and, we just were not as good without those guys in there.
You just referenced the battle cry and what that is, but how do you get guys to embrace the grind of it all, or who have you seen embracing this stretch out of your players? Have you seen anyone?
Yeah, and nobody's harder on my players than I am, so not the fans or the media or you guys could be harder on them, but there is a reality to even getting home 4 hours later on that Monday morning. There's a reality to everything that you can embrace what you want, but sooner or later, if you work 20-hour days, sooner or later, there's a drop-off. And so in fairness to them, you try not to do as much in practice to make up for it, but then you aren't practicing. It's a catch-22, and as I said, if you don't have the injuries and you say, well, you always plan for injuries, but it's a different story, and in a lot of ways, I think we were playing great defensively before that. 1 or 2 guys that you miss can cause a big difference defensively. I look at 11-man football team, and when Snow and Henderson went out, I think that team changed. When Henderson came back, I think that team was much, much better. Just one guy, and that's what Levin. And he was back on a half a leg, which was impressive, by the way. But so right now, we've got to get a couple guys better defensively. We've got to get a couple guys even in better shape. And we got some guys, it's going to be harder. We never thought Pierre would play 30-some minutes a game. Jaden, you had 9 weeks off, then you practiced 2, then you had 2 more weeks off. I mean, that's 11 out of 13 weeks. He's not going to be the same condition guy that he'll be 3 weeks from now. And that's the only way I can look at it, you know. So, not feeling sorry for myself. There's still no excuse why we didn't play good enough to win that game last night. I'm not sure our best team ever would have beat Notre Dame on that night. And so I'm still cool with, am I a game off? Am I this or that? Yeah, and I don't look at it like this is going to run through the season this way. I really not. I just wish that we could get a couple guys to play a little better defensively. I think that would help a lot, and we get some practice time in.
How is Jaden today?
You know, he was fine. Foot-wise, he was fine. Conditioning-wise, I don't know if you saw him, but Jaden Akins is probably the best live wire I got. I mean, he's never. And that one time he ran by our bench and he couldn't even, and I thought he sucked it up better than I thought he might have, because we had to play him one stretch kind of long, because that's when Tyson got in the foul trouble and, we had some things to deal with. But physically, foot-wise, thank God he's great. Physically, conditioning-wise, he's a work in progress.
Tom, I'm just wondering, when you see Penn State, how much do you see or notice signs that what Micah's doing in his program is sort of becoming his own?
I love what Micah's done. I think he's a great guy and a very good coach. But you are sitting there with, he's got Dredd coming off the bench who started there a lot of years. He's got, I think you look at the list, it says 50-year guy started 120 games, 50-year guy started 118 games, 50-year guy started, and then 50-year guy coming off the bench. I mean, it's amazing. For the most part, other than Sessoms, he's kept everybody there. And that's the mark of a good coach, too, I think, that those guys didn't bail on him. But they just happen to all be really good shooters, too. I mean, and they've been good shooters, and they've just gotten better and better and better. So I'm really impressed with the job he's done. Just like I've always been impressed with the job Chris has done. You look over there, and they lost 2 guys, one to North Carolina, one to Duke. That would have been 50-year seniors for him. And he's got a good team. He's got a good team that plays hard and changed his philosophy a little bit. And I think it's, those guys don't realize how hard it is to get programs going. And I still think that Micah's doing a great job where he's at. And he's going to lose a lot this year, but he's done a great job where he's at.
Is guarding against that idea of like a Michigan State coming in there for them, young program, trying to get their foot in? They see a Michigan State maybe hobbling, that they're going to be up for this game. Is that part of your message? Just guarding against that?
Oh, for sure. I don't know if guys realize that as much as they used to in the good old days. I think nowadays we're a more selfish society and selfish group of people. I don't think anybody looks at, like one of the battle cries, they beat us here last year. I'm not sure that matters as much to kids anywhere, football, basketball, anywhere, which is sad. But anytime Michigan State comes in there, we're still a name program, and I'm sure that that is their way to try to make their program. And he's done a good job with that.
Don't have many big games in December, but you use the term reeling. How big is this game in terms of your team's confidence?
I don't look at it that way, win, lose, or draw. I mean, I think we got to find ways to win games, but confidence, there's a reality to it. I mean, players know what we got every day. Our players know what we're going through every day. Our players know how they feel. So the outside doesn't understand it, just like Jim Boeheim's probably a lot smarter than me, because at the end of the day, does anybody know who we played, or does it really matter? It's as one of my former assistants says, there's a left column and there's a right column. And that's all that really matters. If you play bad and you win, it's better than if you do anything else. And so I'm not worried about a team reeling. If anything else, I think this solidifies that when you are struggling a little bit, all the little things you have to do even better. So I think it does the opposite. I think it makes you refocus in on all the little things that are important, both as a coaching staff and as players. And we all got to get together on that. But we've played in enough big games. We've played well enough in big games. We've won some big games. I think we know where this team could be. I also think we saw what can happen if we don't play at a level that we need to play at. And I think if Nebraska beating Creighton at their place badly last night doesn't show that, just what I said in that first press conference over here, it's going to be a wild year, because there's going to be a lot of this and that, and it's happening everywhere. And at least there's some reasons for ours that we've got to get fixed. Getting Jaden back will help, but it ain't going to help against high-level teams. If you had like some teams where you've got a break, and maybe we'll get one a little bit more, where we can ease them into it a little bit more, that would help. So just so you know, we don't have many days like this, but if we did, I'm going to do that. You're always welcome to call me. You all got my cell phone. I'll try to do the best I can, but trying to get you players and trying to get you this and that when, the day was get home at the wee hours, get up, and for the early meetings, have practice, have a radio show, have them coming back for meetings tonight. There's not a lot of time, and yet I know you got a job, and I'll always be very aware of that and try to get you what I can get you. But I need to take care of my business. So I did this because you deserve it and are owed it. And yet if we have this again, I told Mex, I don't want Mex to be the bearer of bad news. Let's try to work it out where maybe the night before he can handle it. Yeah. Maybe we do something even with our players, as bad as that is, or definitely with me up here. And it's not as bad for me as it is for the player. I can just run down here and spend 20 minutes or a half hour. But as you can imagine, we're trying to get through a lot of stuff today, prepare for another team that we're leaving tomorrow. And that's where I think it went from having a pretty veteran team. I mean, the starters, AJ, Tyson, they were there last year. Jaden was going to move in. He was there, didn't play a ton, but he played 15 minutes a game. And then, where our weakness was Mahdi, and I think he's come on. And then all of a sudden, we take a Mahdi and a Pierre, and they got to be focal points because we lose some guys. Joey was the other guy that was back. We went from a veteran team to a kind of a inexperienced team would be a better word. And that's where you need the practice time. And that's where I guess you want to criticize me, not them, for that. It has not been, today I said, why aren't we doing this better? Oh, we haven't been able to practice. Why aren't we doing this better? Why aren't we running our lanes better? Why aren't we? And it's so hard in this job because you don't want to make excuses, but nobody's played a schedule like this with the travel and the injuries. And I said I made it where the mistake I made was the days in between. And the way it got all crunched in, it's been a little more difficult on the players. So the players shouldn't take blame for that. The coach should, and I will. And so, yes, they're tired. Yes, they're not performing at the rate they should or could or had been. But I'll take the blame for that, and we'll get better. But I'm not worried about losing the team. I'm not worried about the carryover down the road. I look at it just the opposite. They know where they have been. They know where they are. They know where they need to get back to. That's going to take not just the injury part. That's going to take the practice part. That's going to take getting back on track that way and doing the things that produce winning basketball. Thanks.